Hey guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge based in Minsk and operating in Minsk and across Belarus. I've been relocating foreigners to Belarus over the last 3 years. Now we're running a charming Russian school, Russian language for beginners. And this is a traditional, non-media biased report about how things are globally and locally, the headlines that may affect the local way of life and the local way of immigration. Thank you for staying with the channel. Many thanks to the patrons for supporting the channel or the members of the YouTube channel of mine. The one-time assistance to the channel can be executed through pushing the thanks button right under the video. It's a button that says thanks, and you can donate in your local currency. Thank you for doing that, or pressing a like and commenting down below. Any feedback is appreciated. Let's get started. My companion will be in the video frame, because the news you're going to hear isn't really some serious analytics, state-of-the-art judgment and information. It comes free of charge, basically for your entertainment. And this is just my favorite bank's birthday, so they are throwing around sweet stuff to the clients, and I happen to still be the client. Travel to Belarus is still unhampered in its own way. There are still very few airlines that are doing flights to Minsk, none of them from Europe, of course. You can get a layover via Istanbul, it's very costly, or you could take a visa if your passport does not specifically allow visa-free through the western border, the only border available for crossing to third country nationals. It's not a problem to get here. So the best scenario for now: apply in Vilnius, get your visa within 2 days or 5 days, depending on how much you can afford to wait, and take a bus over here through the Lithuanian border. Crossing is always a lottery, and right now they have, by the way, cancelled the privilege of the cyclists for priority go through. So right now cycling through is not really an option, although I believe most of my channel audience were not the guys who were cycling across the border to make the border control procedures swifter. Mostly it's a bus. Sometimes it's a private car, but this may not be as comfortable as it sounds. Belarusian-Russian visa deal is still very much not happening. The Belarusian visa doesn't allow you to go to Russia and backwards, although my personal expectation is it's going to work after the war is over. We'll talk about this a little bit later. For now, you need to have both visas to travel between countries. I just had a South Korean guy who is visa-free for Russia, who flew into Belarus, of course, got excited and everything about not having a stamp, which he cannot have because he crossed the Belarusian-Russian border, which does not exist. And so there is no conventional passport control. But he is still in the system of arrivals with the migration office, and we still managed to register him all right at his hotel. The only little wrinkle that may excite some Westerners like Americans, and lately one Finnish guy couldn't make it through the borderline interviews. They may check the phones if the guy looks like, how shall I put it, Jason Bourne kind of guy, or if he's a young American. Not all of them were exactly muscled and everything, but there may be an interview with some silly questions about why you have to travel here, why you have the Ukrainian flag on your avatar. It's the last thing I would recommend you to have as you go through that passport control. If you have some Osama bin Laden selfies, you may want to delete them. If you have any of those with Zelensky or any other guys like that, you may want to delete them or keep them on a separate device. And keep your phone, as they say, fit for safe travel during the pandemic. You should certainly dress up, because the temperatures are nearing zero, and this traditional Belarusian era of unsmiling people between October and March is breaking out. Autumn is about to give way to winter. There's still going to be a 1-month transition period with fogs and rains and all the funny sleet and such like. So you may want to dress up, pick good boots, and dress for the trip respectively. Russian holidays are over until New Year, so you can do some sightseeing if there's anybody still up to sightseeing in the modern times. And travel at your own pleasure between Minsk, Brest, Grodno. Your visa allows you to go across the whole of Belarus. President of Belarus recently congratulated Poles on their Independence Day, and in light of this, he said that the stretched hand of cooperation talks is still there, and the Poles are kind of welcome to get involved in this cooperation discussion and, renew the ties and all this stuff. I won't be asking you for any feedback about how likely this may be, but I'll just tell that any cooperation from the West is not impossible in light of all the producers and capitals basically potentially backing such rebridging. And I'm pretty sure that once the war is over, and it seems like there's some kind of a light at the end of this rather ugly tunnel, there may be soon lifting of the sanctions and barriers and such like. So providing the sanctions and limits get lifted once the war is over in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, we may expect the re-establishment of old ties and connections unless there's something horrible happening down the road and Western Europe decides to just shut off some kind of an iron curtain between Poland and Belarus. Speaking of such cooperation backed by the flow of capitals, recently Latvian politicians seem to have published a concern about too much agricultural merchandise coming from Belarus, imported in spite of the sanctions, and apparently they wanted to limit the flow of this import into the Baltics generally. Mostly it's agricultural produce and timber that was quite popular, and still somehow the items sanctioned by Europe find their way to Europe. That's what they may call ironic. Turkey may be actively backing the lift of the sanctions for export of potash. Potash fertilizers are a country's main natural resource. Statistically, it's much more profitable than oil exports. We have rather miserable oil deposits for now, so potash in which market Belarus used to dominate some 30%, occupy some 30%, is now having issues about being rerouted to the old buyers. I guess there are some countries that are doing shopping in between, and maybe our potash, relabeled as democratic Indian potash, cheerfully goes to Germany. I heard that Germany is very short on fertilizers, guys. What do you think is going to happen this winter season? I'm hearing that pretty big operators are shutting down because of the very high energy costs in Germany, and it may not actually support this way of events. This kind of feedback will be very important to hear, guys. Well, if you are thinking to relocate, the current situation is giving you a sort of an advantage, because right now there are quite a few Belarusians who are selling their properties while they're outside of the country, and the power of attorney has a deadline which is running towards its end. So some people may be more flexible time-wise, and looking for such a deal is a good thing for you, because firstly, you are getting your property. Secondly, you are paying the money in a comfortable and safe way, and it's not inside Belarus, because getting your money in here brings about some challenges about dodging sanctions, playing with crypto, and so on and so forth, depending on how much it is. And there are ways to legally get your money into Belarus. So if your buyer is located outside the country, it's not too bad for you. And such deals can be in priority when you're looking for a shopping. Parcels are going to take more time to come by post. It's been quite a pain to get my TripAdvisor presence as a destination expert over the last 5 years. Some of the heavier packages, I mean heavier than a baseball cap, landed at the warehouse of the customs behind the national airport. And those of you who know it's some 40 minutes away from town understand that it takes half a day to basically get your stuff from their warehouse, battling with some declarations to fill. So parcels, post packages are apparently not a good idea in the short-term prospect for Belarus. Food is still not bad, and we might actually have a quick look at the market, food market in central Minsk, to get you an idea of how much you may be paying for this or that kind of stuff. Some of the things I'm filming were filmed on purpose for some good English ladies who were asking, and some of the things were just fitting into the frame. And we have to keep in mind the factor of seasonality about the prices of some tomatoes or onions or carrots or stuff like that. But generally I would say food is not overly expensive, and it's certainly more natural than Western, if not to say American analogs. Let's have a look at those reels. It's a bit hard to film about a comprehensive food cart, to make a guide book of sorts for you guys, but here is the list of basic items you may need daily and the prices. There are obviously different varieties of bread and stuff, just 4, 5 or 6 items over here that will give you an idea of how much daily stuff may cost. Right now I'm undergoing training as a drone operator, gonna be official certificate and all that crap, so for a while you won't be seeing any catchy, juicy, eye-pleasing pictures of our country from a drone flight view, unless they're old footages. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys, and I hope I will mature as a certified drone operator as well to get the picture clearer. But I hope this will not be wasted, and in future I'll be able to fit in some nice up-to-date images of Minsk and other major cities into the frame as I release my videos. Last but not least, we will be releasing another real estate review very soon. There will be another video about districts of Minsk, best places to settle, and the ongoing construction sites of Minsk by the end of this year, I hope. So, as the preparations are underway, you can put your questions down below, and maybe we'll get some of these videos moderated by your feedback. If you're buying a place, if you're buying a flat, make sure you understand what kind of utility bills are issued for this flat. I have now an American guy buying a pretty large property, so he was clearly let's say, warned that he must have an understanding of the payments for the apartment. It has natural gas used for heating and for cooking, so when he moves in with 3 kids and everything, the bills may be kind of substantial. But when you're buying a property of that kind of scale, it shouldn't be too it will not be too damaging. Still, if you're buying a property to rent it out, especially to rent it out to some students, potentially, you should keep in mind the fact that the larger the place is and you are the foreign proprietor, landlord, the bills for heating and hot water are going to be quite expensive as well. That is the issue between October and March or April, when they have the heating season. So check the previous month's bill of your flat before buying it and see what kind of prospects it may give you. This was about it, guys. That's it for today. If you have any questions about ongoing affairs, please, I'm very welcome in the feedback. In the comments down below. My contacts, some useful links are under the description of the video. The next expat meeting is happening this Sunday at 19. The place is specified down below. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your private consultancy requests. Thank you for your bookings. Hope to see you in Minsk at some point. Cheers.